Hey everybody, I'm Ben Yee.
I'm Elissa Stein,
And
I'm wondering if we've been recording that entire
We
thing.
were, yeah.
Okay.
But now we're going to talk about something else.
Outtakes. So one thing that I wanted to talk about today was a little bit of an outreach from the meeting that we attended the other night, that we ran into each other at the Community Education Council meeting about the SHSAT and changes that the mayor is making towards the specialized high schools in New York City.
For those who don't know, the education councils are what became of the old school district boards when mayoral control is implemented under Bloomberg. So now they're advisory bodies to the education department.
Right, so it's purely advisory. They don't really have a vote or an official role, but they can make suggestions.
That's right.
Right. So we're at this meeting, and somebody from the mayor's office gave a presentation, and in the presentation, which was kind of glossed over, it said that 20% of all specialized high school seats are going to be held out for kids in the Discovery Program.
That's right. Now, what is the Discovery Program?
So the Discovery Program has been in place for years. It's a program where they take disadvantaged youth who took the SHSAT and missed a cutoff score by a couple of points, and then they give them some support in the summer before 9th grade, and then send them on their way.
Well, they have to pass they have to pass this program, right? It's not just you attend and you go.
Right. Although I don't know if anybody takes the program and then doesn't get in. It's usually right. From what I understand, is you're offered the opportunity to take this and then go. That's been my understanding of it, and it was supposed to be at all the specialized high schools, or at least the big three: Bronx Science, Brooklyn Tech, Stuyvesant. Brooklyn Tech continues to do it, but all the other schools don't. So it's only been a Brooklyn Tech specific thing for a long time. The mayor has decided now that going from the 5% of seats that he was holding out beforehand, they're now going to do 20% of all specialized seats. They're going to fill seats in every single specialized high school, of which there are 8, and it's happening now. Now, this is something that was announced in a press release in rather vague terms in June.
Does the mayor have the power to do this?
The mayor has the power to do this. So the mayor does not have the power to stop the specialized high school admissions test and take it away for a different screened, multifaceted admissions system.
But he can expand the Discovery Program.
He can. The SHSAT is covered by an act called the Heck-Calandra Act, which was passed in Albany, and it will take Albany to change it or get rid of it. So the mayor has lots of ideas, and this proposal was a long proposal about all his ideas. None of that can happen except for this Discovery Program part.
Right.
But upping it from 5% to 20% means another 750 seats are not going to be available to kids who took the test. Now, the wording of the press release and subsequent articles that have been written and in this proposal said that it will be implemented in the fall of 2019, and by the 2020, everything will be in place, which made it sound as if the kids taking the test next year would be affected, but it's not. It's the kids who just took the test.
Oh, wow.
So the 20% of seats being held out are for the kids who just took this test past October and November, and they don't know. Parents don't know, administrators don't know, guidance counselors weren't informed. There was no official email sent out. It's not on the DOE website. When I called the DOE helpline to ask for clarification, they said, you know more than we do about this. I finally got confirmation from the head of the Brooklyn Tech Alumni Foundation and from a Wall Street Journal reporter. Now, I'm a person searching hard for answers, and I couldn't find a concrete answer. So I think about all those parents out there whose children will be directly affected by this now, in real time, this admission cycle, and they weren't provided this information, and in a system where it's harder and harder to get a main round spot. Now it's going to be harder to get a specialized seat as well. This is, to me, I'm sorry, because I just have to rant for another moment. This is shameful and frustrating and wrong that something that is so important to a child's educational trajectory in New York City public schools is not shared in an open way so that people know what they're contending with when applications are filled out and submitted. This is mattering for this year, and the vast majority of parents and administrators don't know that this is happening.
So this Discovery Program, initially there were 5% of seats were reserved for them, and now it's going to be 20% of seats. But how does this work out in implementation? So let's say the cutoff score is the 300.
Okay,
right?
Here's the crazy shit.
Yeah.
Sorry, but here's the crazy shit. I know a bunch of activist groups who are working on this right now. The challenge that it's not just a kid who missed the cutoff score by or pointed to. It's a kid who missed the cutoff score who's also going to a Title I school.
Right.
His family is also impoverished. And there's another piece to this as well, so that the kids who just missed by a point or two aren't necessarily the kids who are going to get offered spots. I saw a chart where it said that kids who missed the Stuyvesant cutoff by 100 points are going to be offered a spot at Stuyvesant.
And
These are
then-
kids who would not have gotten a spot at Brooklyn Latin in the way that the system works
And
right
kids
now.
who would have done better would not be offered. They would be skipped over
Right.
because they don't meet the
Because they don't
multitude
meet
of
these
qualifications.
Right. So there are kids now who are qualified, but if your school is not a Title I school now, you're not going to be
And are those
qualified.
new standards?
I believe so. Because there are schools where kids were, I know, and we have to wrap up, but this is really important and so frustrating to me. And one other thing, somebody put together a chart that showed what percentage of kids were going to be offered spots. And with this new system, they're actually going to be offering students spots who scored a 1 on state tests. A 1, like a teeny number of students.
1 out of?
A 1 out of 4.
Wow.
So 4 is like a 75 to 100. You know, kids who are operating at 0 to 25% of what they should be doing in school are going to have an opportunity to be at specialized high schools, which I'm just going to say this because this is my main concern in all of this. You cannot take a child who is not academically prepared and put them into an absolutely rigorous academic environment. You're setting a child up to fail. And this new system, even if you give somebody, 6 weeks or 8 weeks over the summer, there is no way, if they're coming from a school and they're performing below state level because they're not having the academic support, you can't expect them to go to Stuyvesant or Bronx Science and be able to do well. And then there doesn't seem to be any discussion in place about extra support for kids who need the extra support because they haven't been prepared through all these times. You can't just go in 9th grade and expect to succeed if your K through 8 has been subpar.
And with that super important issue, we'll come back to it again.
Yes.
But we gotta go.
See ya.
Laters.